Oh, I don't know. Can you hear me? The microphone was wacky. Okay. So I'm talking about signs from loved ones on the holidays. And so the reason why I came up with this and wanted to talk about it is yes, next week is Thanksgiving, but um okay, cool. Yeah, I don't know. My microphone was on mute. Sorry, you guys on Facebook and on YouTube. I saw the little light flashing and I was like, that's not supposed to do that. Okay, good. So anyway, I won't be here next Thursday. Sorry for the repeat for Instagram. I won't be here next Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everybody. But I wanted to come on here because I wanted to talk about signs from loved ones over the holidays. And the reason this topic came up for me was because I got a really cool sign that I want to share from my mother just a couple of days ago. So if you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, I actually did stories about it. So you might already know what I'm talking about. But I want to share it here because it was a cool reminder that our loved ones are always around. And so I wanted to start with that. And then I figured I would move on and share a little bit about signs from loved ones on the holidays and how you guys can actually get them yourself if you want one or if you haven't had one. So here's what happened to me the other day. I was in my office and I was going through a bag, like it wasn't even a plastic bag. I don't know, but it was some type of a bag of mail that my dad gave me. So my dad always gives me his mail periodically when I see him. I pay all his bills for him and I kind of manage all of that stuff for him. So he gives me these like stacks of mail and I go through them. What's junk mail? What's a bill that I have to pay? What's something that I have to take care of? Whatever. And so I was just sort of going through the mail, listening to something while I was doing it. And as I'm going through the mail, I pull out the next envelope and out flies a white feather. That was inside this bag with mail. Now, I don't know how the white feather got there. Maybe from somebody's coat. I don't know. But the white feather got there, right? That's how these signs work. Don't question them. Don't think, oh, maybe it was a coat. Maybe it was whatever. It was from a pillow. It doesn't matter how the white feather got there. The white feather got there knowing that I was going to go through this bag because that's what I do and pull out this mail. And now, white feathers often to me remind me of angels, right? So when I would see a white feather, or if I tell you you see a white feather, it's usually from an angel. However, it can be the way that your loved one communicates with you, especially if you see the white feather and think of your loved one. Now, for me, years ago, I had a medium tell me your mom is the one who's been leaving the feathers. And at that point, I had been seeing a lot of, oh, why do I always have to block people? Come on, people, please. So, sorry for the interruption. So, at the time in my life that the medium told me this, I had been seeing a lot of white feathers, but I wasn't always connecting them to my mother. I wasn't sure exactly who they were from at the time. And I remember her telling me this. And so ever since then, I know personally when I see a white feather that I know it's my mother, right? So in my mind, this was my mother who's hanging around me. I'm working on a new book. I was literally, after I paid these bills, was going to work on the book. And it's the holiday season. And I know that she is very grateful for the fact that I help my father, right? And I do all the bills and I make sure his bills are paid and all that kind of stuff. So I knew it was her right away. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. Like, thank you so much, Mom. I hadn't gotten a sign from her in a while. And so it was really cool. And so it prompted me, because, I really try not to pre-arrange a lot of these weekly spirit boosts. I try to, which is harder for me because sometimes on a Wednesday, I'm like, what happened that I'm talking about? But I try not to prearrange them just because I like to talk about things that have happened or things that have come up or things that I've learned in a session, a one-on-one client session with someone that prompted me to want to talk about something. So this happened and I thought, oh, I have to talk about signs from loved ones on the holidays, because we are moving into the holidays. Thanksgiving starts next week, and then we barrel through to Hanukkah, Christmas, etc. Right? It just is like, I feel like once Thanksgiving hits, all bets are off and time flies. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. And it really was prompted by this sign from my mother that just made me so happy. And I was so excited about it. And it was so random and rare. And this is how they talk to us, right? So again, I happen to know that my mother uses white feathers with me. So this is why I tell you, start making, in the universe is talking to you, I tell you, start creating a reference guide for how your loved ones, the different ones, speak to you. So whether it's a medium that gives you a sign, whether it's a sign that you see and you think of them, you write it down. Whether it's a sign that you have assigned and they have used, you write it down. So now you know these are the ways that X, Y, and Z loved one, my mom, my brother, my sister, my boyfriend, whomever, this is how they communicate with me. So that's how I knew right away it was my mom and it wasn't an angel, because I remember that medium years ago telling me that. So another sign that I got from a medium was an owl. And so now every time I see an owl, I know my mom is around me, right? That's why mediums are so powerful, by the way, because they can help you get this information and hold on to this information. And they, it lasts long after your session that you've had with them. But anyway, I want to talk about the holidays. So here's the deal. Your loved ones, whether they have passed on recently, whether they have been gone for years and years and years. My mother's been gone over 20 years. 20, almost 23. So it doesn't matter. They are still around you, and they were 100% especially around you during the holiday season. Why? Because they're still celebrating with you, because they want to see you happy, because they would have been there if they were alive and physically in this world. So why wouldn't they be there from the other side? And they will try and get in touch with you. Your job is to, number one, be open to it, and to, number two, ask for it. Now, that does not mean you have to ask for a specific sign. You can totally say, if this holiday season can use the sign of X, Y, and Z, or maybe just say, use one of the signs you've used in the past. Or you can literally leave it up to them to be creative, because they will get creative. And I'm going to tell you 2 examples of how my mother has gotten creative over the holidays to give you an example of how this works. Okay. So I like to let her get creative sometimes. Now, I have a whole bunch of signs. It's been 20 something years that I know she's used before, that I know she'll use again. Right. But I like when she gets creative. So years ago, years and years and years ago, it might have even been the first Christmas without her. I cannot remember if it was the first Christmas without her. I just want to see what the comments are. Oh, okay. So it might have been the first, second, early on after she passed. And so for every Christmas day, my family always goes to my aunt's house, which was her sister. We lived like blocks apart growing up. And we always had Christmas dinner at her house in her dining room. Big old Italian family. Lasagna, steak, meatballs, right? Big dinner that we have, and we still have every year. So we were all sitting around the dining room table. Everybody was at the table. Nobody was in the kitchen. Nobody was walking around. Everybody was at the dining room table. I think I've told this story before. I think I told it last year. So if you've heard it before, stick with me. So, but I know most of you probably have not. So we're all sitting around the table, and the light in the room to turn on the chandelier that was above the table was a rounded dial of so you could dim it, right? It wasn't just like an on and off switch. It was a dimmer. So, those types of things, you turn it all the way on to go on, you turn it all the way off to go off. And it's like a turn. It's not just like a click, right? Because it's a dimmer. So we're all sitting at the table. The candles there's a couple of candles lit, which one year I lit my hair on fire, but that's another story, leaning over the table. But anyway, so we're all sitting at this table, and all of a sudden the lights go off. I mean, off. The lights go off. They don't dim. The lights go off. Candles are lit, and everybody stops and is like, Did we just have a power outage, right? But then we're looking and nope, the tree is still on. Like, okay. So I think it was my aunt who got up to check the light. And that dimmer switch had been turned all the way to off. All the way to off. That doesn't happen by accident. And we all knew. And I'm telling you, they probably don't remember either, my family, if it was the first Christmas after she was gone, but it was early on. And she died right after Christmas too. So we all knew right away. We were like, oh my God, like she's here. That was her, right? And what a dramatic and creative way to get her attention. And again, it wasn't like it was just a switch and the switch hadn't been moved and something, but first of all, it wasn't a one light, it was a chandelier. So it's not even like a bulb burnt out, right? All of them went off and that dimmer switch was turned. So that's an example where you really can't deny that something happened there. And my friend Karen Noe, who's an amazing medium and author, Karen Noe, Noe, she talks about without a doubt signs, and that was a without a doubt sign, right? So that's an example of how they can get creative. Another example is, and this again was maybe just I'm going to say my nephew was around 3, so maybe 4 years after she passed. We were having Easter dinner at my sister's house. We still do Easter at my sister's house, but we were doing Easter dinner at my sister's house. And again, nobody was in the kitchen. Okay. We were all in her dining room area because I believe we were eating dinner or getting ready to eat dinner. It was something like that. Nobody was in the kitchen. She had one of those garbage cans at the time where you step on the pedal and it pops up, right? And it was like a plastic Tupperware type. Remember, it was blue and it matched our kitchen. And so you would step on it, the lid would pop up. You'd move your foot, the lid pops down. And we were all in the dining room, I believe, getting ready to eat dinner. And all of a sudden, we heard like a loud, like a bang coming from the kitchen. And we were like, nobody's in it. What was that? So a couple people went in to look, and that garbage can lid, that, by the way, when you press that pedal, it just pops up, right? It doesn't fly. It just pops up. That garbage can lid had jumped off of that garbage can and landed on the floor. And we were like, oh, she's here, right? Because why would something like that happen? That's why I tell you, give them a chance to be creative. I'm all about assigning a sign. I'm all about asking them to give you a sign. But I feel like when she has gone rogue, my mother, on her own, she has come up with some incredibly amazing gestures and signs. And so this holiday season, and sometimes I would ask her, please let us know you're around in the holidays. Sometimes I didn't. But she always found a way. But especially if you ask for it, they will find a way. And it's just like you're missing them. You know they're not there. And then something crazy like that happens. And you're like, what is going on? Now, that was crazy. Like lighting stuff is often something they can do because they are sort of pure, the spirit and the soul form of us is really pure energy, right? Outside of this physical body, it's pure energy. So they, as a soul who has passed on and moved on to the other dimension or the other side, they are pure energy and they can easily manipulate energy, turning TVs on and off, turning radios on and off, turning lights on and off, burning light bulbs out. I've told stories before where, and it hasn't, I don't want to say knock on wood because I wouldn't care, but for a good period of time in my office, the lamp next to me, every couple of weeks, the bulb was burning out. And I kept saying to my husband, like, I think something's wrong with this lamp. I think something's wrong with this lamp. And he's like, maybe you're just getting bad light bulbs. And I was like, it's a 3-way light. But it kept burning out. And then finally I got it. And I was like, oh. And I don't know if it was my mother, to be honest with you, because I know that I have a lot of guides and angels and spirits around me. But I knew that I had heavenly help around me because those bulbs were burning out. And once I got it, Once I said, oh, wait a minute, this is not a faulty bulb. This is something's going on here, because I do a lot of my intuitive work from my desk. If I do a one-on-one session with you, I'm always right here, right at my desk. The lamp is right next to me. And I got it. They haven't burned out since. They have not burned out since. So, and that's how it works, you guys. They'll keep repeating something until you go, oh, wait a minute, it's you. And then they're like, okay, she got it. Or, okay, he got it. So, anyway, I wanted to share with you those crazy stories because I like sometimes when my mom goes rogue. And because I have been at this game for a while of understanding signs and opening up to signs, and I've assigned the signs and I notice the signs that she uses on a regular basis, like I said, an owl, her name, her birth date, I am more open and aware. And so when something like that, listen, I don't care if you've ever gotten a sign before in your life and you're like, Tammy, you're crazy. I don't know what you're talking about. If you were at that Christmas or Easter dinner and those things happened, you would be a little freaked out. You would be a little, okay, maybe there's something going on, right? That's the type of sign I want you to ask them for this holiday season. Whether it be Thanksgiving, if you celebrate Hanukkah, if you celebrate Christmas, whatever you're doing, wherever you are, whatever holiday you are celebrating, just say to them, listen, I heard this crazy lady, Tammy, talking about what her mother could do, and I believe you can do these things too. So can you please just give me, like my friend Karen Noe says, a without a doubt sign that you were around me during this holiday season or on the holiday? And just let it go. But then your job, and one of the 5 steps in my 5-step process of opening up to signs and synchronicities, your job is saying yes. Your job is to accept the sign when it comes. Your job is to not doubt it, talk yourself out of it, talk other people out of it, allow other people to talk you out of it. Your job is to accept it and enjoy the holiday and know, oh my gosh, my loved one is right here at this table with me. This is incredible. I am so grateful. That's it. Okay. So that's what I wanted to come on here. And all of this was sparked by that feather that I got in the bag of mail that I got from my dad. And I knew she was around. And listen, I do get signs from my mother often in life, but this just sparked it. I know Thanksgiving is next week. I know she knows I'm working on my book. I know she's helping me with the book. I'm sure of that. And so it was just extremely meaningful, and the timing was perfect for her to come through. And I know she was saying, listen, I know all you're due for your father. I know all, my mother used to pay the bills when she was alive. That was what she did. She was the financial bill paying person. Okay. And so I know that she was like, thank you for taking this over for me. Thank you for managing this for your dad. And I've done it since she died. I've done it for 20 something years. I've never found any feathers. And by the way, I have lived here in this place for, oh my God, over 4 years. My dad's been giving me mail for years because I live further away from him now. And I've never found a feather in a bag. Okay. So that was my mom. And it just really sparked this whole thing for me where I said, nope, I got to come on here and tell these stories again, because I do not want you to go through this holiday season, especially if there's those of you out there who have recently lost a loved one, or whose first holiday season it may be without a loved one, or if you have lost a loved one years ago and maybe you've never gotten a crazy sign from them over the holidays, but you miss them and you wish they were there and you think of them every holiday season. I wanted to come on here to tell you, ask them, say, please let me know you're around me this holiday season. And this holiday season starts right now. Please let me know you're around me this season. Even if they don't do something or you don't notice, because sometimes they'll do things and you don't notice. But even if they don't do something or you don't notice something on the actual day of the holiday, give them the season. You may be surprised and get more than one sign. You may get a barrel of signs. There's weeks, right? There's, what is there, like 6 weeks or something for the rest of until the end of the year or something like that. Give them the season and tell them, please let me know you're around me during this holiday season. And then be open to anything that comes through. And then let me know, because I love to hear these stories. And I love to share these stories because they are truly incredible. And I feel like they show the power that our loved ones actually have to get through to us and the lengths they will go to get through to us. There's so many different comments on Facebook. I want to just check them out and acknowledge some of them who are telling stories. Also, I love sharing other people's stories. Hi, Michelle. I get signs with lights turning on in the middle of the night in our bedroom, and it is a sign from my mother-in-law who passed years ago. Oh, man, she's got to turn the light on in the middle of the night. Jeez. That's incredible, though. That's incredible. Aura, it's true that they come to visit us many times. My nephew just passed on this year in May 2022. I'm so sorry to hear that. And he has visited me many times since in the form of a black bird on the wire in front of my window and stays there for hours. Oh, wow. Whenever I think or talk about him, he shows up as a bird on the wire. I love that. And I love that you recognize that. See, here's the thing. Once we recognize a sign, once we say, oh, that's my nephew, that's my brother, that's my whomever, they know that we've recognized it and they will use it again and again. Why? Because they don't want to trick us. They don't want us to miss the sign. They want us to I just accidentally kicked my cat. They want us to know that it's them, right? So if we take a sign in and say, yes, I am taking that, right? You took that bird on a wire that stood there for hours. And I always say, you want to pay attention to animals that do strange things where they just sit there, right? I remember years ago, I was moving a friend into a new apartment. Her father had recently passed that year. And there was a bird that sat on her railing. We were walking past this bird. I don't know how many times. The bird did not fly away. The bird sat there the entire time we moved her in and then left. And we knew. I said, that's your father, right? So once you know a sign that they use, they will use it again and again. And I love that you have not only recognized that sign, but recognized that your nephew is using it again and again. Okay, Mary is saying, my light went off the other night and I said, Mom, is that you? It happened again a few nights later. That's just her saying yes, right? Like, yes, it was me. That was the confirmation that you got because you got it a few nights later. I love how they do stuff in the middle of the night. My gosh, my mother has done some strange things in the middle of the night, but never where she woke me up. I remember one time it wasn't even a year that she had been gone. It was the first time I got sick. I was 22 years old when she died. It was the first time I had gotten some kind of virus or something and I was sick. And all I kept thinking of is, oh my gosh, you want your mother when you're sick, right? And I was 22 years old. And so I just remember thinking this the first time I'm sick and my mother's not here to ask me if I'm taking the medication, to buy me medication, to ask me if I'm taking Tylenol every 4 hours, to wake me up in the middle of the night when I was young to give me the Tylenol every 4 hours. And so I'll never forget where I was sleeping, the back of my bed was a shelf, right? So it was like the headboard or whatever was the shelf. And I had a box of tissues on top of that shelf. And it was the middle of the night and I was sleeping. And, if I needed a tissue, I would reach up and grab a tissue. But I had not grabbed a tissue that night. And I was facing one way on my pillow. And I'll never forget, I turned over on the other side of the pillow and I felt something. And I sat up and there was a tissue. I'm telling you, this is the truth. There was a tissue completely, perfectly square on the edge of my pillow. Like someone had opened that tissue and placed it on the edge of the pillow. And I knew that was my mother saying, I'm still here to take care of you, right? They can do incredible, incredible things if we allow them to, and we accept the things that come in and we don't question them. Okay, let me see. Oh, wow. So somebody's saying my wife and I heard a harp playing in the bedroom at 4 a.m. That's crazy. So listen, I don't know if you have a loved one that has passed or if that could have just been angels around you. I feel like it was probably a loved one that had passed on, especially, I don't know if your loved one maybe had anything to do with music or was just trying to send you a sign to let you know they're there. They can do things with music. Like I said, they'll play with the radio and all of that stuff. I've had people, where radio's turned on in another room and they're like, what the heck's going on? They'll use your cell phone and they'll do funky things with the phone. So many things. You'll get missed calls and you'll be like, my dad has gotten missed calls from people who have passed on. So they do a lot of crazy things. But anyway, so I wanted to just come on here and share some of this stuff with you because it is the holiday season. Because whether you have lost someone recently, whether you have lost someone like me 20 something years ago, I also lost an uncle that was very close to me only less than 2 years ago. The holiday season brings it back up. And I just want you to be open and aware to the ways that they can communicate with you. And I want you to ask them to please do something without a doubt so that you know that they are there. Again, whether it's the holiday itself or not, if you want it on the holiday, ask them. And then be open to crazy, strange things happening and knowing that it's them and accepting that it's them and taking that it's them. And does it make up for the fact that they are not physically here? No. But does it ease some of the pain to know that even though you can't see them, that they're not physically in your presence, that their spirit is there at that table with you, at that, around that tree with you or whatever it is? It makes a big difference. And I know that because without it, I don't even know where I would be in my life right now, having lost my mother tragically like that when I was 22 years old. I know that the signs that she continues to send keep me feeling like I haven't totally lost her. And that's the feeling that I want you guys to have over this holiday season. So that was the purpose of this, to just share some of the stuff that my mom has done. And for you to know my mother is not this crazy, amazing, powerful spirit. Sorry, Mom, I know you are amazing. But if my mother can do it, your mother, brother, father, husband, sister, nephew, whomever, friend can do it too. And we just have to ask and we just have to be open to it. That's really the bottom line. And I just like to share my stories because I like to share with you what's possible if you have not experienced this. Or maybe if you have experienced these things and thought you were crazy. You're not crazy. Okay. So I hope that you have enjoyed this. I thank you so much for being here with me. If you have enjoyed it, please like it, comment on it, leave, tag somebody who needs to hear this holiday season, because I hope that these words are healing and comforting for people. And if you know someone who needs to hear this or understand this or try this in their own lives, please let them know, get them to this video. It's completely free. It's available on my Facebook page. So tag them on this or send them the link so that they can watch it as well. And I thank you all for being here. I am going to miss you guys next Thursday, but it is Thanksgiving. So I wish you now, anyone who is celebrating, an amazing and wonderful holiday and Thanksgiving with your family and with your loved one. And that family includes your loved ones who are on the other side. We all gather together on these holidays. And I will be back the following week, hopefully with a special guest. And wishing you all an amazing and beautiful Thanksgiving. Happy early holidays. And I will miss you and I will be back. Sending love to you all. Maybe make sure you ask for those signs. And when I'm back on here, I want to hear any signs that came through on Thanksgiving. Bye, everybody.